A shocking update from the Phoenix Suns as the team is going to be signing their second round draft pick, Oso Ighodaro, to a contract, putting him on the official roster. This is shocking news given the fact that many second round picks get two-way deals. Now, the Phoenix Suns have one roster spot left to fill, and we are going to break down what they might do with that spot right here on Suns Digest. My name is Pierre, and I'm going to be breaking it all down for you guys. Thanks for joining us. Before we get into the news of it all, we noticed that about 79% of you guys are watching our videos, and we appreciate that, but you haven't yet subscribed to the channel. If you want to make sure you are keeping up to date with all of the latest Suns news, latest in free agency, and speculation as we head into training camp, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. And this is quite the story, and I'm excited to be breaking this down because I think there's a lot to unpack here. Oso Ighodaro is signing a rookie deal with the Phoenix Suns. He is going to be under contract on the team for the 2024-2025 season. And I think that this is a definite sign of what the Phoenix Suns think of this young player. He was recently introduced along with fellow coming rookie Ryan Dunn at a press conference with GM James Jones. And I think this is a massive and important deal for the Suns. It means that they believe that Oso is going to play a factor into the team's future. Let's break it down right here. The reporting coming from ESPN's Bobby Marks. Oso Ighodaro, pick number 40 in the 2024 draft, has signed a 4-year, $7.9 million contract with the Phoenix Suns, as sources tell ESPN. The contract has substantial guarantees that will give him one of the higher guaranteed salaries of players selected in the second round. The contract was negotiated by Clutch Sports. Now, that is, like I said, a sign of what the Suns believe Oso is going to provide to the team, particularly into the future, giving him a spot on the roster, not signing him to a two-way deal, which has surprised me. A lot of second round picks in the NBA, they kind of get slotted into being two-way players, guys who are going to spend a lot of time in the G League and on those rosters. And that still may be a sign Oso may is likely going to spend some time down there. But the fact that he's got a guaranteed roster spot on the 2024-2025 season opens things up for him. He doesn't necessarily have to worry about being cut during training camp. He's got a spot on this roster, not just for now, but for years to come. For a 4-year deal, that's significant, especially for a guy who's a second round pick, as I mentioned. And that means that the Suns believe in him and they believe in his talent. Let's take a look at just kind of his track record. As we mentioned before, he's an Arizona kid. Grew up in Chandler, Arizona, went to Desert Vista High School. He's a 6'9", kind of bigger forward, can play the three, can play the four, very athletic, solid on the defensive end, and he's got a lot of qualities that could develop over his time here with the Phoenix Suns. If we take a look at some of his college statistics, he spent 4 years at Marquette, and he still showed steady improvement every single year. If you take a look on the right side of the screen there, his scoring improving every year, maxing out at 13.4 points per game in his last year in college. So I think that when you take a look at Oso, you take a look at he's got a developmental project. He's really solid on the defensive end and more of a, a slasher. Think a guy who's gonna get in hustle plays on the fast break, loose balls and find ways to score, on broken play situations. But if he can develop some offense, some reliable offensive moves, becomes a little bit more of a shooter, and he continues to develop strongly on the defensive end, he could become a very solid rotational piece down the line into the future as we see what kind of team the Suns are going to be. Obviously, we know that the Suns are in win now mode, so the likelihood of him getting substantial minutes this season probably not likely. But again, as I mentioned, I feel like this is just a sign that the Suns have plans for him in the future and they are still looking at the bigger picture, not just this upcoming season. So, Oso being signed to a 4-year deal, second round pick being signed to a 4-year deal, not a two-way deal, is huge. But that means that the Phoenix Suns, as we gonna know them or what they're gonna be in 2024, 2025, it's almost complete. The whole deal is almost done. And we're gonna talk about now who we think could take that final Suns roster spot. With the signing of Oso, or with the expected signing of Oso, the Suns are gonna have 14 guys contracted to the roster, as well as two guys who are under two-way contracts. We thought that Oso might fill that third two-way spot, but it looks like nope, he's going to be contractually on the team. So if we take a look at that Suns roster, as I mentioned, there's 15 names right here. Oso's not on there, but there's some projected guys in terms of who is going to be signing, along with Jalen Bridges and Colin Gillespie on two-way deals. We've got Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, the big three. Yusuf Nurkic, who's reportedly going to be staying, not going to be traded. Grayson Allen, who recently was re-signed at the end of last season, and he can't be moved until the trading deadline this upcoming season. Royce O'Neal, who's going to re-sign to a long-term extension. Bull, who's resigning on a one-year deal. David Roddy, another project piece. Ryan Dunn, the first-round pick. Mason Plumlee, who recently resigned in free agency, as well as Damon Lee, who re-signed after opting out of his player option, but coming back to the team on a one-year deal. And Monte Morris, the other free agent addition at point guard that we have been clamoring for the Suns to grab as the only point guard on the roster, more so likely in a backup role. Nasir Little is the other name that's on this list that still has a potential, I think, to be moved. He could be moved potentially before the start of the season, whether it's a salary dump, whether it's maybe there's an injury to another team, then the Suns feel like he may be able to fill a need elsewhere. He's the only person who right now on this roster I don't really see have a significant role or being someone that you're willing to pay at that $6.7 million mark for a guy who's maybe not going to see much playing time. But that still leaves that one final roster spot. And we've broken down a lot of guys that could potentially fill that spot. But let's go over a couple of them. Again, let's start with Josh Okogie, averaging 4.6 points per game last year, 2.6 rebounds, shooting 30% from three-point range, 30% on corner threes, the 6'4" guard who can defend multiple positions on the court, solid defender. Not that great of a shooter, as you can see from his stat line, but Okogie also opted out of his player option, similar to Damon Lee. Now, the expectation may still be that Okogie is going to re-sign with the Suns on a little bit more than a veteran minimum, which the Suns are allowed to do, even though they're a second apron team. But now, with how the roster is shaking out, does Okogie still have a place on this team? Will he be a part of the rotation? Will he factor in? It seems to me like it seems a little bit more that Okogie might have better opportunities elsewhere to find playing time. I don't know where he sees the court based on what the Suns are telling us, especially with the signing of Oso. It seems like they may want to find some playing time for him in significant periods over the course of the season. That may limit what Josh Okogie is able to do, and especially when you factor in guys like Nasir Little being on the team. Ryan Dunn's going to demand some playing time. I don't know if Okogie is going to be long for this Suns roster if he even resigns. So that one's a little bit more up in the air. The next guy Suns have ties to and have talked about is Kyle Lowry. Now, Kyle Lowry bounced around. He was with Miami, and then he ended the season with the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 8.1 points per game. One of the best shooters that the Suns have been tied to in free agency. He shot 39% from three-point range, 45% on corner threes. Again, he's a little bit undersized at the point guard position, but he still can fill a role. Monte Morris right now, only true point guard on the roster. Kyle Lowry can continue to fill that void. They could split minutes, particularly at that position, if that's something that head coach Mike Budenholzer envisioned for this team. I think Kyle Lowry still becomes a viable possibility to fill that last roster spot. Now let's get into some stuff that is kind of floating out there on social media. And I just kind of want to direct you to this tweet here by Suns Are Better. And he made a post that says, I'll say, I'm not opposed to a Jay Crowder reunion. And then he seems that Jay isn't opposed to it either, referencing that Jay Crowder liked that original tweet from Suns Are Better. So that means maybe Jay Crowder is interested in a Suns reunion. Suns fans may remember Jay Crowder was a part of that team that made that run to the NBA Finals when they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks, and he was a significant player. Now, Jay Crowder, his exit from Phoenix was a little bit tumultuous. There was, time kind of really not necessarily on the same page with the front office. So the thought of a reunion might seem a little bit far-fetched, but Jay Crowder still has the ability to have a significant impact. Last season, spent most of his time with the Milwaukee Bucks, averaging 6.2 points per game, shooting 34% from three-point range, but he also shot 40% on corner threes. He's a big forward, can play the three, can play the four, and can help space the floor. He's definitely one of those 3-and-D guys that kind of in the same vein of a Royce O'Neal, but Jay Crowder also brings that experience as a veteran presence in the locker room and filling up that last roster spot. You kind of have a little bit more leeway in terms of, where guys play, what positions they play, what roles they fill. If there's an injury, particularly to someone on the front line, let's say KD misses some time, having guys like Jay Crowder on the roster can really be a benefit. So I don't think that's a name that the Suns should overlook, particularly in free agency as it comes to a close. But I would think that the most likely candidate would be Josh Okogie because that's where the reports kind of came in. But in terms of fit and need and value, I think Kyle Lowry would be the better fit in terms of the Suns to add to fill that last roster spot. But again, that's just what I think. We want to know what you guys think. Let us know in the comment section below and what you think about the Suns signing Oso Ighodaro to a regular contract, not a two-way contract. Let us know what you think about that, and let us know what player you think the Suns can fill with that last roster spot on a veteran minimum deal. That's all the time I got for you guys. I really thank you guys for joining us and supporting our channel. We appreciate all the love. Anytime you guys want to make sure you're keeping up to date with the latest Suns news, free agency stuff, as we head into the offseason and as we move into the start of next season, which should be an exciting ride, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. We appreciate you. Like I said, once again, I'm going to sign off here. This has been Suns Digest. My name is CJ Pierre, and I will catch you guys next time. And go Phoenix Suns.